and Warchant TV. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. Thanks so much for watching on Warchant TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're listening on 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Thank you so much. And on Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. So we had to do something different today. I'll get it out of the way early. I guess technically we're supposed to legally bring this up. This is a recorded hour of radio that you're listening to. Tom and myself doing this this morning, Friday morning, before we head on over to the spring football luncheon for Florida State. And it's exciting, because this is we kickstart spring football today. And we've had a good opportunity to preview positions and segment groups throughout the week. And we've also, last 2 weeks, really. And then, of course, had a couple coaches on this past week. So that's a good thing. You can go catch up on all of that on warchant.com. And then, in addition, today, we'll hear from Coach Norvell. He'll address the assembled media, talk about expectations, talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between. Mostly good, I would think, as they had a really good tour of duty. I think Coach Storms kind of relayed that, Tom, that they were really pleased with the vast majority of the guys, including returners who helped lead the way, and then, of course, the young guys coming in, and a lot of saucer-eyed young men as they get set to go to work and go to work on what is an incredibly important season. This is we talked about it at length yesterday. I thought yesterday's Jeff Cameron Show, while they're always great, was particularly great in the second hour yesterday, where Tom and I were able to have kind of a lengthy discussion regarding the long-term future of Mike Norvell, his staff, the building of a program, Florida State's efforts to get back amongst the nation's elite, where they have not been residing in a long time. This year goes a long way in helping, I guess, clear the picture as to whether that is possible, whether that's something that will happen with or without Mike Norvell, quite frankly, and whether or not we should be excited about a season that features, right off the bat, a cool game in New Orleans against LSU that will prove pivotal to the season, to go along with a bunch of games against veteran-laden teams with quarterbacks that have played an awful lot of college football. So they're in for a challenge, but they've upgraded the roster. And today begins the opportunity for us to really evaluate that roster, position by position, to look at exactly who's what. And, I think, Tom, we've taken turns in the last 3 weeks as we've built up to spring football, talking about the segment groups we're most excited to see because of the new names. I think most people would circle the wide receiving core and say, how big an impact are those guys going to have and how soon will they have it? I think we both agree that Winston Rice is probably the guy that immediately comes in and will have a huge impact. I think he's a plug-and-play guy. He's experienced. He's played a ton of college football at the Power 5 level. He's been good. He's been productive coming in from West Virginia. So right off the bat, you got a guy there that you trust. And then from there, we have known commodities and some guys that came on at the end of last year, like Malik McClain. But then we have other guys from that transfer portal that haven't played a ton of football, but whose names now we're all familiar with, Deuce Spann and Wilson and Micah Pittman and those guys. We want to see how quickly they can get acclimated and get out there and help upgrade this offensive attack, because Jordan Travis, while we're counting on him to be better, really needs a lot of help. We think they've helped him on the offensive line. Have they helped him an awful lot with the wide receiving core? I think the offensive backfield is lacking. I don't think they're dynamic at running back. We'll see if Benson is going to be a huge upgrade for them or not. It may just be the Treshaun Ward show. I don't know, but I think they're going to have to really sling the ball around and rely on Jordan Travis's legs, but you'd like to find some balance there.
Yeah, well, that's the key word, is balance, because what that does is it offers opportunities for guys to be in one-on-ones, and not just the receivers, because I would think early on in the season, most defenses are going to challenge the receivers in one-on-one and Jordan Travis, by extension, in one-on-one and say, prove it that you can beat us. But if you do prove that, then running backs are going to be in isolation where they only need to make one dude miss instead of three guys that are around the line of scrimmage. And that'll be fun. But there was a question yesterday in the chat, just what you're talking about with the receivers, and we didn't get to it, but it was, who do you think out of the three receivers, and Deuce Spann was not included in this question, is going to have the biggest impact? Is it Winston Wright? Is it Pittman, or is it Johnny Wilson? Because I think there's a couple of ways to approach that, but I would assume your answer would be Winston Wright would be the guy who's going to have the biggest impact.
Yeah, it would be, because I don't think it will take him nearly as long to get adjusted to life in the ACC and the speed of the game and maybe even the offense. He's a very veteran player. This is a guy that understands concepts and has executed them in a game repeatedly against Power 5 competition, whereas Micah Pittman hasn't, Wilson hasn't, Deuce Spann certainly hasn't. I know you didn't include him in the list, but no, those guys haven't. So yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that it's right.
So here's the thing. I think I could make a case for Pittman because of the hidden yards that you would gain by simply catching a punt and or returning one for, God forbid, 3 to 10 yards, every once in a while, because how many yards would that have been worth across how many different games for Florida State in terms of field position last year? I mean, not just at the turnovers. We had turnovers and muffed punts, and that killed the Florida game, and it put the Syracuse game in doubt when we were up 10 points, 30-20, but also with flipping field position, neutralizing the field position battle. And then if Micah Pittman offers you 30 catches or 35 catches, he might be somebody who has a significant impact, even though on the pecking order of the receivers list this upcoming season, he might be 4th or 5th in catches. That's what I get interested in too, that's one thing, unfortunately, that we're not going to know all the way until the season, because when they do special teams work in spring camp or fall camp, usually there's no contact. There's really no gunning and blocking and things like that. Not even in the spring game do they make return units live. And certainly we see a lot of special teams work in practices in fall camp last year, and it didn't do a damn bit of good for this team. So you're always going to have a jaundiced eye until you see it on the field. But Micah Pittman could have a really significant impact in 2 phases of the game, not just 1 phase of the game.
Let's hope. I mean, I certainly understand the case that you make there because of the hidden yards with special teams that Florida State lost every week last year, every game. It was a nightmare. And it wasn't just that you were losing yardage, and they weren't hidden. I was right. That's right there, obviously, to see for everybody. But I would say that it's not just that. It's that every time a punt went in the air, we actually feared that not only would it not be caught, but that if it was attempted to be caught, it would be dropped. So there really was no faith in anybody back there. And they tried a bunch of different people, and it just never worked. And it was really frustrating. I got to a point where I think everybody back there was domed up. They were not, because they screwed it up a couple of times, then they were told, whatever you do, don't drop a punt. And you can't drop a punt. We're going to lose a game if you drop a punt, which they're right. You would. I don't know psychologically that's the best way to go about it. But at some point, the kids just kind of, when in doubt, ran away from the football. And you cannot get more timid on a football field than to run away from a football out of fear. It's something to behold, and we had to see it every week last year. So that was something.
Well, and also, how about running full speed if you're going to return a kick? That would be a good thing instead of tiptoeing and waiting, like your Le'Veon Bell in the backfield on 2nd and 7 playing for the Steelers 5 or 6 years ago. Full head of steam. And I think Winston Wright could actually help in that regard as well. But yeah, I mean, it's the receivers that are going to head the list. What I find interesting too, and this was remarked on by multiple people on our staff from the tour of duty workouts that we saw on Tuesday, Lawrence Toafili looks the part. Like, he looks like there has been development in the offseason. And of course, we know he's explosive, and they devised a lot of stuff for him in the fall camp last year, because he's one of those players that if you get him in space, he can change the scoreboard in one play. And I don't know that we have a ton of those in our backfield. It's not to say that Trayshawn Ward can't break a 20 or 30-yard run, but I don't know that he's going to hit his head on the goalpost the way a Lawrence Toafili could. Number 9 could be a game changer for this group. I understand he would be considered maybe a long shot behind Benson, or Ward certainly first and then Benson. But don't count out Lawrence Toafili, because by the end of the season, it looked like there was a little bit more, before the injury happened in Clemson, it looked like there was more confidence in his game. He didn't play with confidence at all in September, but if you give that type of an athlete confidence, and also the patience that comes with confidence, the vision, remember what happened with Cam Akers in the back end of his freshman year here, it can change things. They can look like completely different football players. And if that becomes the case, then you have a 2 or 3 headed monster where you don't replace Corbin completely, but then you have a group that you feel at least comfortable enough with Jordan Travis in the read option game. So the offense could get fun real fast, but you need a couple of people to prove themselves, I guess is my point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't view Lawrence Toafili as a difference maker in terms of being dynamic enough to change games consistently. You're right. He's the fastest of the bunch, so he has the best chance to make big plays. I think that's an area that frustrates me, frankly. We'll see what kind of step forward Lawrence Toafili makes, but I don't understand how, and it's been this way for a while with Florida State, how we don't have receivers or running backs that change games. It's just I tell you, it's part of that overall level of frustration that Florida State fans feel. There's no escaping a past that features so many good players at those two positions. And then I think the other part of that is that, I think most college football fans, you look at, I'll give you an example. College football fans understand that if there's a lineman in the draft coming out of Iowa, you should take him. Pretty much you should take him. He's probably going to be pretty good. Well, you'd like to believe that if there's an athlete coming out of the state of Florida, that can really run, receiver, running back, whatever it might be, defensive back, whatever, you'd go, you know what? I'm going to trust that kid's really fast. I'm going to trust that kid's dynamic athletically. He comes from the South. And you know what? The South has produced an awful lot of good football players. And then you watch Florida State and you go, So it's really frustrating,
Yeah, at receiver and tight end, I'd agree. But I thought Corbin changed a couple of games last year. And the thing is, we don't necessarily know how explosive some of these guys can be. I hear you. When you look at them, they don't look like, say, 2014's roster, right? Or 2013's roster where you've got Devonta Freeman and Dalvin Cook's waiting in the wings later, but James Wilder Jr. Like, these people look a little bit different. But if you had an offensive line that can generate a push where you can get 3 or 4 yards when you expect to get 3 or 4 yards, then it sets up those explosive plays all the more. Like, that's where I'm the optimist here is if you looked at the PFF grades or you just used your eyes, last year you knew down for down when you needed a yard, you needed to trick them in order to get a yard. We needed a wildcat or some nonsense in order to create an isolation, and or if you didn't block it up, Jayshon Corbin had to use incredible vision and will to get over that line to gain on a 4th and 1 at our own 38-yard line. That sucked. That was hard to do. But they also devised a lot of explosive plays. So what happens if you can, generally speaking, against a middle-of-the-road ACC team, and there are a lot of those in this conference, actually win the line of scrimmage half the time, 40% of the time? What do the numbers look like for those running backs if you can create those situations? Because now I think you're in a position where you could see a running back have 15 carries in this offense and run for 120, and the YPC is not because of one big play. It's because you have sustained success and a couple of big plays to go along with it. That's where I'm withholding judgment, because the O-line has been worse than average for a long, long time. What happens if they actually in the interior are okay to pretty good? Well, now you're changing the ball game and you're changing the way you can call the ball game, and those stats are going to follow. And maybe you see the graphics that say this guy's a game changer, and you might believe it.
Well, you're actually describing a path, I think, to Florida State having and maximizing their talent, having the ability to get to 8, maybe 9 wins. That's the path you're describing, because I still think it's got to be more ball control. I think you have to have the ability to put together and sustain drives, especially against middling teams, because I don't believe this defense is going to be better this year than it was last year in the second half of the season. I don't think you lose the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and just because you have an abundance of players in the back end of the defense and some serviceable players on the front end of the defense, that you really can replace that player. Jermaine Johnson changed football games against good teams, and they really couldn't. There wasn't a lot they could do with him. It was remarkable. They had to, a lot of teams, like halfway through their game, would have to deploy more resources just to slow him down. I don't think anybody's going to have to do that necessarily this year anyhow against Jared Verse, and I doubt they'll have to do it against Briggs. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong about that, by the way. But I think those guys will be decent. I think the linebacking core is better, but I do think you take a step back in being able to pressure the passer. So that doesn't necessarily bode well. At least up to this point, we haven't seen a defense as authored by Adam Fuller that gets a lot of stops against the passing game. So the offense needs to control the ball a little bit more, have more sustained success, and it begins with that offensive line being better, like you're talking about, and the ability to line up and run the football in short yardage situations and not have to trick people, which then later on opens up for some big plays and gives you more versatility. We didn't have a lot of versatility in the second half of the season offensively. It was, if Jordan Travis doesn't play, you lose. If Jordan Travis plays and he doesn't run around a lot, you probably lose. So there was a lot of that. Our center was on roller skates last year in the second half of the season. I don't think that'll be the case this year. So, Yeah, I think you're right. What you just described is the path to a better offense, sustainability, and protection for a defense.
Well, and to make the argument for you to return to the offense here, this is why you would praise Mike Norvell and Kenny Dillingham often last year, because if you just lay it out there, you don't have a receiver that can win a one-on-one. This is the back half of the season. You don't like what you have at center, injury, whatever reason, you don't like it. Your left guard, who's your best offensive lineman's hurt, and he's playing through it, at least for most of those games. You don't like what you have at one of the tackle positions. You don't have a tight end that's a difference maker in an offense that really would take advantage of a tight end or an H-back as a difference maker. And you have a quarterback and a couple of decent running backs who can run around but not throw the football. Can Jordan Travis, at least not consistently. And yet, with all of those things, they would score in the upper 20s or lower 30s. So if you say that, and now we have material upgrades to the offensive line, at least the interior of it, and we like one of the tackles, and now you have maybe over-under all set 2.5 receiving options that you like coming into the fall, you take a bit of a step back at running back, but you like the scheme, and then you've got a quarterback who hopefully develops, but even if he stays exactly the same, has more balance around him, and you already scored in the mid to upper 20s on average, and sometimes you touch into the 30s with ease with Jordan Travis. Okay, I can see where this offense is building to a place where it can control the clock, it can control the game, and put you in a position in the fourth quarter to close it out. The question is, on defense, who is that extra defensive end? Let's assume that Jared Verse is a replacement level player or above replacement. Not ACC, all ACC, not ACC defensive player of the year, but let's just say he's pretty good. Who is that second guy on the defensive line who can close drives for you? Because if there isn't one, then you've got to commit more bodies to attack the quarterback. And this is the balance of the game that goes back and forth. And my number one concern, defensively speaking, and it has been for a long time, is coverage over the middle of the field. How are you going to account for that? Is it Jamie Robinson and another safety? Is Tatum Bethune better at covering guys over the middle than our previous linebacker iterations? Has Kalen DeLoach taken another step? Because these are all the things, these are the intangibles. Well, they're tangible. These are the little things that you need to stack together in order to get to 8 or 9 wins, and we'll see. But it all starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow, and it's also why, again, that we're recording this hour this morning. Next hour, by the way, we'll be live in studio. You'll see us, but this hour, this first one is recorded so that we could get over to the luncheon. We could be at the press conference for Mike Norvell. We could ask coaches questions, glean something from it in, obviously as we get set to embark on spring football, which I'm excited about, by the way. Orange Theory Fitness, my friends, partners at Orange Theory Fitness. If you want to have more life, right? Make it the summer of more life. It's coming up soon enough, the spring, summer. It's a good time of year to get in shape, good time of year to feel better on a daily basis, to track your progress, and to do so with science-based workouts that you will guarantee to see not only improvements in your physio, but your body will change and you'll feel better, and everybody wants to do that. Orange Theory Fitness, 2 locations in Tallahassee, 1 in Midtown, 1 on the north side out there by Killearn. Go to orangetheoryfitness.com to learn more, or walk in and say you want to get a workout in, because the first one's always free, and that'll let you know everything you need to know about Orange Theory Fitness. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV continues in a moment.
What Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
Hi, Taco.
Hey, champ, how you doing? Pull up a pillow. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Hey, something's different about you.
That's right. My people took me to Tally Spay, the affordable spay and neuter clinic on West Tennessee.
Tally Spay? Isn't that the place where they...
Yeah, they're a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic.
So you're saying you've had some work done?
I did. You'd think I'd be depressed, but truth is, I don't even miss them. All I know is my family is much happier now that I've been altered. My people even brought Mr. Jingles to Tally Spay.
Tally Spay, a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic open to the public, serving Tallahassee and the surrounding areas. How you feeling, Mr. Jingles?
Leave me alone!
Ugh, you're right. He is a lot nicer. Go to tallyspay.com. That's tallyspay.com.
Hi, I'm Andy Cohen with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. And as an agent with Florida Farm Bureau, I'm continuing that promise. Farm Bureau Insurance has been protecting what matters most for over 75 years. Your home, your auto, your family, your life. Who's protecting you? Give me a call, 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. At Florida Farm Bureau Insurance, helping you is what we do best.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Applications, onboarding, payroll, termination. Business owners and managers, these are the processes that take away too much time from what you do best. But what if there was a locally owned, responsive solution that would charge you a fraction of the big national payroll companies? Sound too good to be true? It's not. North Florida Payroll Services is Tallahassee owned for nearly 15 years. And in that time, their prices have never changed. The reason North Florida Payroll Services can do that? Exceptional customer service that constantly evolves with the latest technology. From application to termination, for turnkey service for your payroll and HR services, trust a Tallahassee expert and save yourself time and money. North Florida Payroll Services. Online at northfloridapayroll.com.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Show 93, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV on a Libations Friday, somewhat loosey-goosey. We're kind of serious, too. More serious than we normally are, if only because, on Fridays, again, previewing a little Florida State football at the luncheon and then getting set for practice to begin tomorrow. Should be a beautiful day for it. It's been a beautiful week. It's been a beautiful couple weeks, so that's always good. I want to get out there and watch these guys get after it without having to worry about inclement weather or uncomfortable weather. That's exactly what they're going to have is the good stuff. Hey, really quickly, I want to touch on this, Tom, because I think it tells you what you need to know. Florida State's contracts were released for Coach Atkins, significant bump in pay for him and others. Let's go through it really quickly. Obviously, Alex Atkins was most recently promoted from just offensive line coach to offensive coordinator, and he'll get a substantial raise because of it. You can read the story on warchant.com that Ira wrote. Obviously, this is a guy that I want to talk about for a second because he is a guy that within the industry is extremely well thought of and is being pursued and will be, I think, annually. I think he's that kind of up-and-coming coach. and he'll be pursued. And his name is already thrown out every time an offensive coordinator's job or an offensive line coach's job is brought up, let's say, in the SEC, like it was in Georgia. So it's good to find out that he'll be making $850,000 a year. He was scheduled to make $575,000. That is a substantial raise. It also shows a level of commitment from Florida State University on a couple of levels. First of all, it lets you know that they have money and they're willing to spend it on valued coaches, right? That's good. Got to have that to compete. Number two, it lets you know that they have a very good coach in their midst. You got to give Coach Norvell credit, because think about where he plucked this man from. It was his observation that guy, Coach Adkins, is doing a really good job at a very small place. And someday, if I get the chance, I'd like to hire that guy. And he did, and it's worked out well, and we've seen the improvements, and now he's going to get paid like it. So that's good news there. He also got an extension. So it will run through 2024. He's the highest paid assistant coach on the staff. He gets paid more than Adam Fuller, who's making $800,000 a year as an aside. Now, Randy Shannon's contract stood out to me, Tom, too. He's scheduled to make $600,000 each of the next 2 seasons. I'm not in love with that. Let's hope that what happens there is that Randy Shannon not only improves and stabilizes this defense to some level, but he's got to make a huge impact in South Florida in recruiting to me. That's what I need to see. I feel like in large part, that's why you hired him. Let's hope we see significant bumps in our successful attempts to lure athletes from South Florida. Tony Tokars, who I interviewed earlier this week, making $300,000 annually. It's a 2-year deal. It's He's in the deep end of the pool now, and they're paying him like a guy that they want to see prove it, and that's fine. Coach Odell Hagen's scheduled to get a bit of a bump. He'll go from $550,000 to $600,000, not a significant bump there. Got a 2-year extension. That's largely about recruiting because there are whispers annually these days that he's ready to retire. If you're recruiting defensive linemen, they need to know that you're in it for the long term. And even if you're not, you're going to get that extension. So it looks like that you are. Now, here's what I thought was interesting. Ron Dugans will not get a raise at all. He got a 1-year extension, $450,000 what he was making last year. It's what he's going to make this year. And there's a whole lot of 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you. I don't think it's any secret. They tried to replace him. They tried to find somebody to come in here and replace him, and they couldn't find him. They couldn't get him. They couldn't get a yes. A couple of guys that they looked at, one guy took a Carolina job. Another guy, allegedly was offered the job, turned it down. We talked about this on yesterday's show that I alluded to in the first segment. That has a lot to do with people looking at this situation at Florida State and not trusting that if they were to commit to taking a job here, that their boss is going to be around for a while. And so guys, whether or not they are accurate or not, if the perception is things are on rocky ground there, they'd rather not take that job. People don't like to have to move every couple of years. So I get it. But it does reveal when these raises and extensions or lack thereof, who they value, who they're excited about, and who they're saying, yeah, you're lucky to have a job.
Yeah, there's a ton to unpack there. I mean, Alex Atkins being the highest paid assistant is an excellent move. I think if this offensive line continues to improve again this year, you might do it again next offseason.
Oh, they're going to have to give him a raise every year because he's going to be sought after.
And that's fine. That's fine if he continues to show what he already has shown. And it's always a show and prove business in coaching. You don't, you marry yourself to the idea of a coach, and then there's a bad season, and you say, well, you need to stick to the plan. You need to stay to the standard. And if he continues to develop this O-line, and he also obviously is going to be more than pitching in offensive coordinators meetings and game planning meetings, well, then more power to him and more money to him, please. Tokars, good for you that he got the deal. That was a great interview earlier in the week. He should have dropped us a super chat, I guess. It makes sense to me that Odell got the bump to 6 because you can't pay Odell less than Randy Shannon. That would be crazy. You at least have to pay them equally, if not give Odell Hagens a couple bucks more. The Randy Shannon thing is interesting to me. I think there's a couple of dynamics at play here. Number one, this kind of indicates to me how much Adam Fuller values Randy Shannon. I think there is a genuine like between the two of them, and there's a synergy between the two of them. You would hear it, and you know this as well as I do, better than I do because you've done it for longer. But when we have those meetings about how a coach sounds or presents when certain questions are asked, we did it with Jimbo back in the day, and he was a terrible poker player. But the subtext during an answer tells you the truth. anytime Adam Fuller is asked about Randy Shannon, he seems to be genuinely happy to have that mind on the staff in the defensive meetings and helping advance the cause for the defense. So I don't think you'd be paying Randy Shannon that kind of money unless there was true synergy there. And of course, wink, wink, nod, nod, it might be a backup plan in case you need to make a replacement or make a change. But still, I like the balance there between those two. The Ron Dugans thing with inflation the way it is, man, he got a demotion. I mean, that's less money. That's a lot less money. So we'll see. You could cover that, though, with Mike Norvell's expertise at the receiver position. And I noted every time that it was brought up to these receiving transfers that came in this offseason, why did you come here? Well, they mentioned Ron Dugans, but they talked about Mike Norvell a lot.
Yeah.
And Norvell, as a former receiver, can cover for that if you do have to make a change after this season. It's like Nick Saban coaching defensive backs. You might have a defensive backs coach and title in Alabama. That's Nick Saban's position. Jimbo with quarterbacks here. That was his position. You already knew that was maybe a figurehead / recruiting position. Well, Coach Dugans, it is time to recruit. And we love you. You're an Nole forever. But this is a clear message that now or never. Now or never.
Yeah, it's past time. He has to have an unbelievable year, or he's going to get fired. They tried to basically move on from him. We can call it for what it is. I'm like a lot of the fans. Listen, I've got nothing personal against Ron Dugan, so this is not a personal attack. And I loved him as a player, and he is a Nole, like you said, makes it harder to criticize. But I'm not going to not criticize. He's not done a good job. He just hasn't. So they have to get something in recruiting out of him because, like you noted, and I think correctly so, Mike Norvell will coach up these receivers. And you see him. We go to the practices. He's very active in doing so. So this is, in essence, a position of recruiting. And Ron didn't get us anybody. So what is it you say you do here? That's the frustration. So we'll see. The staff's got to get better long term. This, again, every time we have a conversation about this football team and about this spring practice, about this fall, about this schedule, about this team, we circle back because invariably the talking points end up illuminating just what a critical season this is. Because every single time we go, well, this guy's doing this and this guy's this, and maybe this team's a little better here, maybe they're a little worse here. And then at the end of the conversation, I find myself thinking, Jesus, what an important year this is, because there's so many questions to answer and so much pressure on this group. And this is a make or break season, period. It just is. If they don't perform well, if they're average to below average, he's a dead man walking, all of them. It's just, in my mind, and I'm talking about, obviously, job status. I mean, I don't have to clarify that. I mean, but that's where we're at. There's just no getting around it. I mean, I believe that's where we're at.
Let's say they go 7-5 and they miss 2 38-yard field goals, and that's what put them at 7-5. And you see the games and they play. Does that do anything for you?
Well, seeing the games is my old saying, wins and losses happen for a reason. I can sit here all day long and tell you why we're going to go 8-4 or 6-6 or whatever. And then the season plays out and it doesn't look the way that I thought it would. If I had told you a year ago we're going to go 5-7 and that I'd be all right with that because the losses would be against teams that were better than us, you'd be like, okay. But then we go 5-7 and one of the losses is Jacksonville State. You're not as okay with that. So they happen for a reason.
Buddy, I will never not be able to. Even if we climb to the top, that apex, these two FSU terms, we climb to the apex, I will never not hear my feet on the steps up to my office here after West Durham calls that touchdown play and there's no flags on the field. I'll never not hear that. And then remember signing on with Gene and going, all right, Gene, let's go.
I'll never forget Bryce Cameron, my son, standing in the kitchen. He'd come out from his room where he had been playing a video game online with one of his best friends. He came out I'll never forget, he came out to get a corn muffin. He loves corn muffins. He and I are not alike in that regard.
He does?
He loves them.
Ooh.
I have to buy a corn muffin from Publix once a week because he devours them. And I don't care anything about corn muffins, but they must think at Publix that I love them.
I wish I could hit the little sweet button. Woo!
He loves them. But so he walks out to get him a corn muffin. And every time he'd come out from his room to get a drink or whatever, he would because he didn't want to watch the Jacksonville State game. He's like, it's a nothing game, Dad. And so I was watching it here at the house. I wasn't going to go to the Jacksonville State game. So I'm here at the house relaxing. I'd had one tasty beverage. I was totally locked in my right mind, watching the game. And as you know, watching that game was maddening enough. So as each series would go by and quarter would go by, the level of anger was mounting. I could tell right away that they hadn't taken the game serious with the play calling and the offensive sets. I could tell they were treating it like an experiment, like a scrimmage of sorts against the second team. And as the game went along and it remained close, I was getting angrier and angrier and angrier. So we arrive at that final moment, and I'm thinking we're going to win the game, but boy, oh boy, am I going to light into this group on Monday. I cannot believe that we had to win this game this way. So the ball goes in the air. Bryce is walking out of the kitchen, holding the corn muffin in his hand. He asks me the score. I say, hold on, this is the final play of the game. He goes, oh, walks into the room to watch the final play of the game, sees the catch. We all do. We watch as it transpires, and we're all in shock, dismay, forewarned as we are. Kid runs into the end zone. I realize we just lost the game on, in essence, a play, not even a Hail Mary, just a run play. They just ran the play because they saw the evidence that it would be open on the play before.
And they missed it.
Yeah, they missed it. So nonetheless, there it is. And Bryce looks at me because, he's sort of indifferent. He loves Florida State, but he's not as invested as we are. He looks to my reaction. And I knew in this moment that I needed to set a good example because inside there was an inferno raging. I wanted to throw the controller off the wall. I wanted to kick something. I wanted to walk outside and scream to the heavens, why hast thou forsaken me? I wanted to do all of those things, but instead I just calmly looked at the screen in silence and did the Christian Bale Kermit nod. That's what I did. I just went, okay, all right. Okay, there it is. That just happened. Okay. And I turned off the TV. I stood up. I calmly put the controller down.
That's you inside. That's internal.
That's me inside. Yeah. I stood up. I put the controller down. I turned off the lights. I turned off the television. I calmly walked to the back. We have a divider. So I closed the divider, made sure all the doors were locked, went into the bedroom. Christy said, did we win? I said, no. I turned off my light by the bed, laid my head on the pillow, and went to sleep. I laid there all in one motion, Tom. I didn't tune into your post-game show on Warchant TV.
I'm glad you didn't.
I couldn't bear to do it. The next morning, I got up. I had a big glass of water and a cup of coffee, and then I pulled it up because I couldn't wait to see how you and Gene had to navigate those waters because I couldn't think to myself that could be anything other than hostile. And you guys did a very good job, and I was impressed, and I just laughed and thought, boy, Monday's going to be fun. My God.
Well, yeah.
Sorry about that trek down memory lane, but that's why, folks, this year is a very important year for this coaching staff. To bring it full circle, it's of vital importance that we not have moments like that anymore and that we win the games we're supposed to win. And, occasionally win a game where you're a slight underdog, which we did last year. So let's graduate. Let's find a way and give us more snapshots in our brain of better times to come and better things to reflect on as opposed to what happened last year. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
from 2 and 3 feet in length annually. While the species population is unknown, state officials believe it has grown enough to allow the limited catch, the first since the early 1990s. Anglers who want to catch a Goliath would have to enter a lottery. The harvest season will run from March 1st through May 31st, and spearfishing will be prohibited. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Lots of sunshine outside this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 84. Winds out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 53. Tonight, mainly cloudy. Sunny skies and calm. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 82. Temperatures a bit above average Sunday and Monday with highs in the low 80s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 84.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on their clothes. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. Great rates, cutting-edge technology, and transparent communication is the recipe for a 5-star mortgage experience at FSUHomeLoans.com.
Camera Show on Libations Friday, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Great to be with you. Thanks for joining us. This hour recorded, next hour live. Had to record today's first hour so that we could be at the football luncheon for Florida State Spring Football and hear from Mike Norvell, talk to the coaches. Always fun to do that. We're doing that. We're doing that again today. So we had to get in here this morning, do this first hour, and then we will be live next hour. We do that for FCC purposes to let you know this hour is in the can. But nonetheless, it's pretty much what we'd be talking about had we been live. Spring previews, position previews, thoughts, mindsets as we go into camp, what we're looking forward to, guys that we're excited to see, question marks around segment groups, all that stuff is what we'd be talking about anyhow. So not much difference in the way of show preparation and performance today. This is what we would have done. A lot of pressure on, we were talking about the team under a lot of pressure and how big a season this is. I think specifically, Tom, if I were going to look at and we already talked about Ron Dugans, I don't want to go back and relitigate that, but I think there's a lot of pressure on Adam Fuller. And there's a seriousness to him. And I talked, obviously I had him on and we talked, and he wasn't about the jokes early on. He wasn't gonna have fun with me there. He wanted to get straight to it. And that's fine. That's fine. I know Coach Fuller. And I like him. I like Coach Fuller a lot. He's a joy to talk to. Smart man. Nice guy. I think he understands the game of football. There's no question about that. I have said before that the learning curve for me over the course of many years now, covering this program, talking about college football, big picture or otherwise, what I've learned the most about is that in my youth, I assumed certain guys ascended to certain positions, and sometimes inexplicably. I am wrong about that. You cannot arrive at a Florida State or any big-time college football program and do so without an intimate understanding of the concepts, schemes, and games of which you coach, right? There's no chance that can happen. Where you fail isn't your lack of knowledge. It's never your lack of knowledge. I used to think it was. I used to think certain coaches, in my 20s, I would refer to certain coaches and think, well, this guy's an idiot. He's not. He may be in other ways. Go ahead.
Even a certain offensive coordinator before I got here in 2006?
He should have never been named offensive coordinator, but I dare say that if you sat down on a whiteboard with Jeff Bowden, he could explain football to you. I do think that was true. I just don't think he did a good job of calling plays. I don't think he did a good job of ever finding a rhythm. I don't think he did a good job of putting his players in a position to succeed. And that's really what happens, by the way. It's lost in translation. Your knowledge of the game and ability to express those concepts and schemes on a whiteboard or in talking points, if you're at this level, you can do that sufficiently. You could walk into a room and be asked a number of questions about how a scheme works against certain looks, and you would be able to answer that, and you'd be able to draw it up, and you'd be able to talk about why that works or the origins of it, the history of the game. All these guys know that stuff. They're not morons. They know the game. But it doesn't necessarily make you a great football guy. It doesn't necessarily make you a good football coach. I dare say that you and I both, more than the average bear, have a great understanding of football, the X's and O's of football. Why, what's what. We understand that. I don't know if we'd be great football coaches or not. I have coached some. I think I was a pretty good coach, and I think I would have loved to have done it, although the hours were just too much, and so it worked out. But I don't know. I never did it at a high level. I never did it in college, certainly. So what I would tell you is this. Adam Fuller knows football. There is no question about that. I have had long conversations with Coach Fuller on and off the record, and it's fun to talk football with him. That guy will break things down. I mean, in the details, the minute details, all of it, it's there. But clearly, to this point, they have not done a good job. That defensive staff have not done a good job. Now, there are individual groups that have played better than others. So you say, well, I don't blame this guy as much as I blame that guy, or we need better players for this to be executed. All of that's true. All of that's fine. And we can nitpick all of those things. But the bottom line is the defensive performance in the short time that Adam Fuller and Mike Norvell have been here has not been great. It just has not been great. They got better. They got a lot better in the second half last year, and that portends, I think, of good things. But I understand the fans that are sitting back going, I don't know, man. I don't know if this guy is the guy. Like, if you're sitting around thinking that, that's fair. That's completely fair. It's a big year for Adam Fuller. They got to be better. This group has to be better, and they have to be better from Jump Street, Tom, because last year it's nice to say they got better in the second half of the season, second half of the Louisville game on. You want to say they were a lot better. Great, good. What happened before that? We were 0-4. I mean, come on, man.
So that's, 8.5 games of good performance, and they did get better. Like, you look at Kalen DeLoach as one example of somebody who developed last year and got better.
A lot. Yeah.
Jamie Robinson found a home. Right.
Yeah.
And Amarian Cooper is one of the few true Adam Fuller recruits early in his tenure here at Florida State. And that's somebody who made a big impact. And he's somebody that we're counting on to make an even bigger impact moving forward. I think if you gave last year a grade for Adam Fuller and the defense, it would be C+ to B, somewhere in there, depending upon how you want to grade it and how strict you want to be. And he is like a strict teacher in high school. That's what he reminds me of. There are certain days where you don't try the teacher, and that was the beginning of the interview the other day where he's like, I'm not in the mood today. And then there are days where, he's as gregarious as anybody, but you're always going to learn, and there's always going to be a certain process. To me, I'd grade him B- or a B because there isn't a whole lot to work with here. Last year at defensive end, there was a ton to work with, but in the back end, they did get more organized. They did get better. Agreed that if they screw up again, though, and there is another Jacksonville State moment or a 3rd and 20 where you call a blitz and it doesn't make a lick of sense against Notre Dame, like these situational calls where you go, what? How in the world in that situation do you send 6 or 7? It makes literally no sense just given the moment. If those types of moments prove to be too big again this year in more than a game, and maybe that's generous, maybe it only happens one time, then I agree. Then you use the past failures to create a list and say, this isn't good enough to get it done. But I'm willing to be an optimist because I saw much greater organization as the year went on.
Yeah.
Clearly they had guys who were talented enough to lead the way, but they weren't committed enough in the room. And Fuller said, the hell with it. I mean, you're going to cost me my job. I don't care that you can jump out of the gym, or I don't care that you're the most athletically gifted guy in the room. We need players who are going to be where I expect them to be.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, I do have a little bit more optimism for him, because what I saw looked like a defense that was, as you asked in the previous
coordinated.
Year, it's coordinated. That was your number one thing. Are you coordinated? I thought they were by the end of the season, and I don't think there was any doubt about that.
Yeah, I think the questions I was asking at the end of the previous year were correct. I get things wrong and I get things right. I got that right. I was telling everybody the problem with this defense is they're not coordinated. It's by definition your job. They're not coordinated at all. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. The front end doesn't know what the back end's doing and vice versa. You can see it all the time. That didn't happen last year, especially in the second half of the season. They were coordinated. The calls synced, right? They knew, that it all worked. So that's true. And they are trending in the right direction in that regard, and they've upgraded some talent. And I think that, yesterday when we did the defensive back preview, Ira brought up, and he's right, and I'm excited about it, that there's some guys out there that are going to try to make a play on the football. And they can do it in coordination with what's happening elsewhere. I'll tell you what, that leads to game-changing moments. That leads to pick sixes. That leads to short fields. And that leads to you having an opportunity to create big plays. And so let's hope, and I'm excited about it. I hope they do. If they are upper echelon defensively in the ACC, and they are improved on the offensive line, and we think they are, and if they get something from 2 to 3 receivers in the way of consistency, yeah, man, then you could top out and win 8 games. You really could.
Well, in the 80 seconds that we have left here, I'll go back to something I brought up earlier, which is who's that second guy going to be on the defensive line that you can game around? I remember there weren't too many wrinkles that Adam Fuller needed to bring, right, when it came to pressures, because you were going to get it with your front four, and that's a defensive coordinator's biggest hope.
Yeah.
Is wow, I can play with the 7 in the back end and create all kinds of weirdness for the quarterback because I don't have to worry about the pressure. Well, one of those sets he used on the defensive line was a game where he lined Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson next to each other. Remember that? It was on the right side of the offensive line typically that you would see that. And they'd run all kinds of crazy twists and stuff, and that would free up some big plays to be made in the backfield. Well, who is that guy going to be beyond Jared Verse? Is it Dennis Briggs? Are you going to get him down in weight enough that he can make a play or two like that? Is it going to be one of the young guys like a Peyton or a Turner? Who is that second player? Is it Leonard Warner because he's got the agility on a third and obvious? That's what I'm interested to see here because that can change the course of everything.
Yeah, and we do have to go, but I may be in the minority here. I'm glad Leonard Warner came back. I think he can play. And he's not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to describe some sort of game-changing difference maker on the defense here in Leonard Warner. But, man, he's experienced. He understands what they're trying to do. He's huge. By the way, you saw him out there the other day. That's a big kid, man. He's looking big. So, we'll see. We'll see. We'll have a good time with it. Hour number 2 forthcoming. It will be live. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
568453.
This is an insurance market alert from Barbara at Faircloth Insurance in Tallahassee. A few months ago, I asked you to contact your legislators to help stop the skyrocketing property insurance rates in Florida. Other states average 2 lawsuits per day on property insurance claims. Florida has 384 per day. The property owners of Florida are being taken advantage of, but it is not by the insurance companies. The companies are paying out 10 times the cost of a claim or more that would have been paid anyway. People are canvassing neighborhoods, knocking on doors, suggesting that the property owner may have some damage. The property owner innocently signs something that turns all control of any claim settlement to an attorney that becomes the person designated to get the claim check and who controls the disbursement of the claim payment. If we want these rates to go down, we must reach out to our legislators and let them know how unaffordable home insurance has become and that we want them to support reform that will fix the issues. This has been an insurance market alert from Barbara at Faircloth Insurance in Tallahassee.
That is the smell of amazing barbecue from Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue. There's only one thing that could possibly make Kenny's Amazing Barbecue better, and that's an ice-cold adult beverage. Now you can do just that. Pair an ice-cold beer with all your Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue favorites. Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue, 1 mile north of Havana. Get your fill at the grill.
This is Dr. Ryan Finn from Finn Chiropractic. As a chiropractor, we correct subluxations. Here's the deal. Your brain runs the body through the nervous system. If a bone gets out of place or subluxates, it puts pressure on your nerves. These can cause headaches, neck pain, back pain, arm pain. With Finn Chiropractic, we turn your subluxation into relaxation with an adjustment. Come on by and see us or get in touch with us at finnchiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The UN Refugee Agency says more than 1.2 million people have left Ukraine since the fighting began. Charles de Ledesma with that report.
The UN's data portal shows the majority, about 650,000, had gone to neighbouring Poland, and roughly 145,000 had fled to Hungary. A little less had headed for smaller nations, Moldova and Slovakia. The peak one-day outflow of people from Ukraine has been 200,000 on Tuesday, while 165,000 people left the country on Thursday. The group says they know the majority are women, children and the elderly, but officials are unable to provide a more specific breakdown by age or gender. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Also at townhall.com, the Supreme Court has reinstated the death sentence for the convicted Boston Marathon bomber.
On a 6-3 vote, the justices agreed with the Biden administration's arguments that a federal appeals court was wrong to throw out the death sentence a jury imposed on Johar Tsarnaev. The bombing killed 3 people near the finish line of the marathon in 2013. In 2020, the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston ruled that the trial judge improperly excluded evidence that could have shown that Tsarnaev was deeply influenced by his older brother and was somehow less responsible for the bombing. Mike Hemp in Washington.
U.S. employers adding 678,000 jobs in February. The Labor Department's report also showed that the unemployment rate dropped from 4 to 3.8%, extending a sharp drop in joblessness as the economy has rebounded from the pandemic recession. On Wall Street, stocks remain deep in the red now. The Dow is down 360 points. More at townhall.com.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road. DINOVITE.com. We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dynavite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Our friends at ISF work hard to help their clients solve the future. ISF is an integrated IT and management consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, serving clients all across the country. With the new year upon us, ISF reminds you to create a clear strategy, optimize your process, and modernize your technology to meet all your goals in 2022. For more information, visit ISF.com. That's ISF.com. ISF, solving the future. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That said, let's get right to that. That was a lot of fun. I always enjoy that. For those of you, let me set this up for you, because it's not like anything really that I've experienced in covering Florida State 20 plus years. This is the only staff, including Coach Bowden's staff back in the day, that has ever had the kind of really laid back, easygoing opportunities for long form, off the record discussions, get to know you, see how you're wired, what you're about, kind of conversations with coaches. And then you do on the record stuff too. But it all happens after Mike Norvell gives his sort of State of the Union press conference, if you will. He's kind of talking about his thoughts and his, I guess, where he thinks the program's at, what he's looking forward to with spring football. He'll assess some of the newcomers. He'll assess the tour of duty like he did again today. He'll talk a lot about what they're looking for and all of that. And then you go and you line up and you get your lunch and you sit down and there's a bunch of tables set up. And it's an opportunity to really talk with coaches. And it's coaches and media types mixing together. And it could be a conversation about your family. It could be a conversation about, where you're from, what kind of music you like. Could be all about football, maybe nothing about football at all. And then after that is over, there's a chance for stand-up video shoots and on-the-record interviews, audio, and the like. So I just think it's a great tool to provide context for you as a listener or a viewer or a fan of Florida State football, a season ticket holder, a booster, somebody who's just mildly interested in these guys. And I really do appreciate it. And I think it's also smart. I really do, on a lot of levels. And you can learn a lot. You really can. And, Tom, why don't we start with assessing in reaction to Mike Norvell's press conference? Because I thought there were some telling aspects there, some things that he said that kind of clued you in, as always is the case with Mike. Mike's a smart guy. He'll give you answers to a question, but he'll tell you more than what he's telling you in the answer to the question if you listen carefully. It is the between the lines sort of inferences. And, I thought a couple of things here. He did talk about the added personnel behind the scenes, and he was thankful for that. And obviously he said, the right things. Thanks to coach, listen to me say coach, thanks to new athletic director, Mike Alford, all of that. Right. And then he also said, it's a necessity. This is the landscape of college football now. And if you're going to compete and have an opportunity, you have to be able to do that. And then he also said something about the actual players that I thought was interesting. Quote unquote, we're starting to look the part, telling you that they didn't previous, and he knows it. He is aware of it. He's talking about the duality of building a team that buys in. So that's locker room stuff, right? That's the philosophy, the work ethic, and the togetherness that you're trying to build coming out of a toxic situation. And there's no doubt he feels like they've succeeded in vetting, running off the people they needed to run off. He didn't use those terms. And then recruiting a certain type of kid while also upgrading the overall level of athleticism. So it's not just about physically transforming the players, although that's a big part of it. It's mentally and physically, but then finding the types of players that want to do the work and buy in who also can play. That's hard, right? That's hard. And he, just saying we're starting to look the part tells me a lot about what he's had to work with and the understanding that, look, while I'm simultaneously fixing the culture, I know we've got to get better players here to get to where we want to go. And he does feel like they've upgraded there. I don't think they're where they want to be, but he certainly feels like they've upgraded quite a bit in that regard.
Yeah, there were a few times during the presser where it felt like he wanted to say more, and he was holding himself back because he knows that there's still work at hand. But he, when he immediately says out the gates that they're bigger, stronger, and faster, and that they feel like they're close, we're getting close. That tells me he's excited. He's really excited to coach this group, and there are some specific position groups that he was asked about where I think he clued us in on what they want to do as well, ideally speaking, but the kids have to go out there and earn it. That's the other thing is like you have all this stuff in theory, and that's the hard part about covering spring is even to a degree, the coaches love it because there's no opponent to prepare for. It's all about just getting better, and speaking with them during the lunch, to a man, everyone said, I'm just glad to have spring because spring is when you get better. You don't have to worry about game planning and install because that gets in the way of instruction and development.
Right.
But you got to go do it. It's great to talk about and give platitudes to some of the transfers or some of the new recruits you bring in and how big and strong they are. But if they don't have the attitude or the consistency or the game is moving too fast or the offense or the defensive scheme doesn't jive with what they've learned and they have to unlearn some stuff from other places they've come from, whatever the reason, then you can't play them and you can't advance the mission. So that is the task at hand. And I think that's why he's stopping himself short. But he has higher expectations for this group. There is no doubt about that.
Well, quote unquote, we're making major strides. We are seeing and making major strides. So, all right. Springtime is, the line season and all that stuff people talk about. I mean, I get it. They do look better physically. They look like they have
front
more.
line, the starters do. Yeah.
They look like guys that can play. Starters look like guys that, that there's more. They're beginning to litter the ranks of the starting 22 with more guys that look the part.
Yeah, probably 12 to 15, give or take.
Yeah, they need more. They need a lot more to get to where we ultimately want to be. But now it's no longer a guy here or there that stands out to you the second you see him because they don't look like anybody else on the team. Now there's, up double-digit guys that you're like, okay, that's how you're supposed to look if you're going to have a chance to compete.
The funny thing is that, we are supposed to, and we have to, as media members, while we are able to watch practices from start to finish, most every single one. I think the only ones that we're not allowed to this spring are the scrimmages, which come a couple of weeks from now. But we are not allowed to talk about depth chart, obviously injuries because families have to be contacted first, things like that. But we're not allowed to talk about, let's say that there's an experimentation on the offensive line and you're shifting where guys are going left to right. That's a no-no. Now we can say, or ask Mike after practice, hey, well, are you working so-and-so out at tackle or guard or whatever? And if so, how's that going? And then he could choose to do with it what he will.
Right.
But that's why I want to go on the record early. I think he tipped his hand a little bit about what they want to do with the offensive line.
The versatility of the offensive line.
Specifically with Darius Washington.
He brought it up. He brought up his versatility more than once.
They want to use and implement his versatility, which tells me they want to play him at guard. Ideally, they want to play him at guard because one time that he mentioned that, right after it, he said, this is a big camp for Lloyd Willis. Okay. So now you're telling me, because he also remarked that Robert Scott had a good offseason. All right, so if Robert Scott had a good offseason and he's in your good graces, he's going to play tackle, obviously. And then you say we want to use the versatility of Darius Washington. Well, there's only 2 tackle spots, and if Rod's taken one, or Robert Scott has taken one, then where else would he go?
He issued the challenge, Tom. He said this is a huge spring for Lloyd Willis and Rod Orr.
He mentioned it, Rod, at the end. I think he threw that in almost as an extra.
Well,
but when
I think he's trying to motivate here, yeah.
For Lloyd Willis, there was a different look in the eye. I was like, okay, so
hey, man,
now
let's go.
In his mind, ideally, you've got Scott and Willis on the outside, and then the interior is Gibbons, Lyles, and Darius Washington. Fascinating. That could be fun if Lloyd Willis earns it. That's the other part of this whole conversation.
Offensively, how about his glowing praise for and expectation of Benson? I thought that was interesting. Now, he describes him, of course, as a big back, 6'1", 220-ish, 215-ish, somewhere in there, right? But says that he's already hit all the top speed markers they were looking for. The agility is there. They're going to bring him along slowly like they did with Corbin. He mentioned that. But he has been fully cleared to go, and they've seen those top-end numbers that they were hoping to see, which tells me, okay, you got a kid coming off of an injury. You know immediately that he's been medically cleared, which is the only reason you'd bring him in once you get a good bill of health, right? Okay, so fine. You get good bill of health, he comes in. Then he gets here, and you're going, all right, I don't need you to be good right now in spring. I need you to be able to work and be able to continue to work and get back to full strength. But let's see if that speed, and I think I'm reading into it, that he's trying to find out, is the speed you had that caused me to be interested in you before you went elsewhere when I recruited you the first time around, is the speed that I saw there, is it back? Because the answer, according to him, is yes. So a big back who can really go, and he said nice things about him. So they're going to rely heavily on him.
And based upon Benson's interview as a newcomer here to Tallahassee, he's nasty. He wants to hit you. So he's not afraid of contact. So if you've got the size, the willingness to be physical, you don't want to just rush to the sidelines and get out of bounds, and you've got top-end speed, that there's potential there. But I think
they need it, though. That's not a dynamic room. They need it.
Agreed. I think this is a time, though, to go on the record with whatever we think, because there are some things we won't be able to say once spring practice begins. That's why I almost want to take those guesses. Also, man, what a non-announcement or non-mention of a couple of the veteran receivers. This is a critical camp for Pokey Wilson and Keyshawn Helton, because when Mike was asked about receivers, he said, well, we wanted to bring in guys with experience to mix with a couple of young players that did very well last year.
Yeah.
Well, my God, sir. So if I'm Keyshawn or I'm Pokey Wilson, I'm saying, oh, I better show out,
I mean,
or I'm going to shove off.
At some point, right? Don't you just kind of say, I mean, look, I'm not sure these guys are going to be any better than what they've been, which is marginal.
Correct. I've got some hope for Keyshawn.
I do too. I root for him. I like him, but I don't know. I mean, he's not.
But if you get supplanted, that's his purpose right now. That's the other side. The one thing we liked about what Willie said, not to the members of Florida State's community, but to players. And we saw those videos. It's my job to recruit over you. Now, I didn't do a great job of it.
Nope.
But that's clearly a tenor. He didn't say it out loud, but
competition is the tenor going into camp.
Mike was talking about that today, in a sense. You know what? I've recruited or gone to the portal and dipped into the portal to recruit over what we don't have. Period.
Huge amounts of competition. He's fostering intense, nasty, hardcore competition. Good. Have to. That's where it starts. That's where it all happens. That's where you take that battle day to day in camp for reps, the opportunity to start or get on the field at all. If you don't start, you take all of that, and we joke about it. Corey says it and we all laugh about it. We actually had a coach say it the other day, Coach Storm say it. Iron sharpens iron. That's what you're talking about. Like, let's get after it and make each other better. I want to beat you, you want to beat me. Ultimately, we're on the same team, we have the same goals, but that only elevates the level of play. They haven't had enough depth of talent segment by segment to really create and foster the kind of competition he was alluding to today. I think he feels much better about the ability to create that now, because there are real jobs on the line.
Yeah, the one person I got to talk to today at length on the record was Marcus Woodson. Everybody on Warchant had an assignment for a different coach, and my dumb ass went with a vertical video instead of a horizontal video. But anyway, you'll find that on Warchant TV. And one question I asked him was, for us, this is a hard position to break down. We just did a video on it. There are so many names. And he started to smile right away because he knows where I'm going. That's got to be awesome.
To have that many people
as a coach in the defensive backfield, to have all of these names with the talent to juggle and create and foster that competition. But not only that, for Coach Woodson, if those receivers are decent, then those battles every day make you doubly good. Because if I'm a defensive back on this roster, I'm worried about my job being taken by somebody else having a good day. And then also I need to be on my P's and Q's because there's somebody across the football from me that can do something about it if I have step.
Right.
Well, I mean, what a concept. But it's nice to be there, at least in one position battle.
Florida State will take on NC State tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the TLC televised, if you're not going, on ESPN2, by the way. And so it is that Florida State has secured a winning record, as I noted before, at 16-13, but 9-10 in the ACC. They got a chance to get to 500. I will do a quick little preview on that here coming up. Some bad news there on Cameron Fletcher, who is now out for the year. Anybody else want to be out for the year? Not much year left, but anybody else that has had a marginally positive impact on this team want to get hurt before we call it a day? Because that's just about everybody.
Whatever non-COVID virus Matthew Cleveland has, let's fix that just in time for a trip up to Brooklyn. But Cameron Fletcher can give you 8 to 12 good minutes, and that hurts the magical week in Brooklyn. But it's not going to kill it yet, as long as we get Cleveland back.
Very frustrating. If you're thinking about solar panels, don't forget to think about the condition of your roof before you sign a solar panel contract. Call T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction, to come out and inspect that roof. The last thing you want to do is have to pay an additional, say, $10,000 or more to remove your newly installed panels to have a new roof put on. There's a benefit, obviously, to replacing your roof at the same time you have solar panels installed. There are opportunities for tax credits. You can save some money with all of this. In addition, you want to make sure your roof can handle the weight of solar panels and that your roof will not need to be repaired or replaced. So there's a lot on the line when you make that decision to make the switch. And if you're thinking about it, my man, T-Spark Roofing and Construction, they are qualified, they are certified, and they are waiting on your call. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
What's important when shopping at a gun store? Let's start with a friendly and knowledgeable staff. Then add top-notch service, great selection and pricing, and a personal shopping experience only found at a locally owned and operated business. At Red Hills Arms, they're right on target. While other gun stores come and go, Red Hills Arms remains Tallahassee's go-to local gun store for all your firearms needs. Stop by today and get welcomed in like family.
Hi, Taco.
Hey, champ, how you doing? How you doing? Pull up a pillow. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Hey, something's different about you.
That's right. My people took me to Tally Spay, the affordable spay and neuter clinic on West Tennessee.
Tally Spay? Isn't that the place where they...
Yeah, they're a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic.
So you're saying you've had some work done?
I did. You'd think I'd be depressed, but truth is, I don't even miss them. If anything, I feel more calm. I don't feel like I have to run around looking for company, and my people can leave me alone with the couch cushions.
Hey, I can stop anytime I want. Tally Spay, a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic open to the public, serving Tallahassee and the surrounding areas. Tally Spay. For more information and to schedule a same-day surgery and pickup, go to tallyspay.com. That's tallyspay.com.
Refreshing and simple. 2 words you don't hear many people use to describe their experience going through the process of getting a home loan. That's what puts the Hamilton Home Loans experience in a category all their own. If you're buying or refinancing a home, Hamilton Home Loans will provide a personalized mortgage experience that is dedicated to making the process refreshingly simple. It all begins with an initial consultation with an experienced Hamilton Home Loans advisor to find out what your goals are in order to find the right mortgage to suit your specific needs. Then, your personal home loan advisor will take you through all the steps from application, underwriting, approval, and closing, all the way to the front steps of your new home. Once you've experienced the Hamilton Home Loan process, you can be a customer for life and never have to pay lender fees again. For first responders, nurses, physician assistants, teachers, active and retired military, ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
Economists have predicted that 10% inflation is baked into our economy for the next several years. But who knows? In uncertain times, there is still one certainty. Precious metals like gold and silver hold their value. So maybe it's time you called America's trusted precious metals authority, the Elite Bullion Investment Group, at 941-230-GOLD. 941-230-GOLD. Gold. The Elite Bullion Investment Group specializes in physical gold and silver, everything from coins to bars, real physical precious metals, assets you'll hold in your hands. Call Elite Bullion Investment Group for a free precious metals investment analysis. Ask about a gold IRA. Call 941-230-GOLD. Check them out online at ebigusa.com. Protect yourself. Call the Elite Bullion Investment Group, 941-230-GOLD. The Elite Bullion Investment Group, 941-230-GOLD.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
The course average is very difficult today, so that's a number and a half.
Yeah, not having it. He's 9 under par in the lead at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, presented by MasterCard. I know, they should pay me. Rory McIlroy, currently even par on the day on number 4. Some of the other big names I'll get to in a bit. You guys don't want to hear that. You don't care. Probably care, though. You want to know how I'm doing gambling-wise, and I appreciate your concerns. So I'll definitely let you know.
Top of the list.
I'm doing very well, if you must know, because I had Victor Hovland. NC State leading the all-time series against Florida State. Now, that's a tragedy. You know, the other day I was kind of surprised, and I've been kind of surprised a couple times. I always check the all-time records against teams in the ACC since we've joined and just overall records that we have against our opponents. And, you know, I think I told you, it's nice to see that we retain a winning record against Virginia. That's a program. They're very proud of themselves. It's got to eat at them that a program like Florida State has an all-time winning record against them. And while that was impressive, I am equally dismayed, as I was impressed, by the fact that we have a losing record against NC State. No, man. There's a chance to chip away, Tom. It's 31-29 all time. 31-29 in favor of the Wolfpack. The Noles have won 7 of the last 8 meetings. Get you some.
That's right.
We're carving into it.
We are whittling it down.
We are. Nicely done. Don't get to use whittling all that often, including the last 4 here at the TLC Double C that we've won. We're 15-14 against NC State in the Leonard Hamilton era. He has a winning record, but our 14-7 against the Herb Sedneck against them since Herb Sedneck rolled out to Arizona State after the 06 season. 5-3 against Sidney Lowe, remember him? 5-3 against Mark Gottfried. 4-1 against Kevin Keats. That's the current coach. Most people, I bet, even in this conference, you've said, who's coaching NC State? They wouldn't get it.
I would have gotten that one. It would have just been, is Kevin Keats still there? That would have been the question.
FSU is 16-8 overall at the TLC Double C against the Wolfpack, including 7-5 here. That's woefully close. That doesn't make a lot of sense. We met earlier this year. You guys know that in Raleigh. It was an 18-day COVID pause that we were coming off of at the time, and it was important, and we needed it, and we escaped with an 83-81 win, and that kind of, at the time, we thought might start to jumpstart all of this, and in some ways it did, but then, you know, every single player on the team got hurt. So what are you going to do?
Win. That's what we're going to do.
Well, I
We'll
hope.
win.
If you think about this, the Wolfpack do have 3 guys that can score, and we're going to have to play well on defense, and we haven't played well on defense, but Sebron and Helms can score, and Smith can score, so we're going to need to rise up here at home and play some defense. Senior Day will mark the end of FSU careers for the likes of Raekwon Evans, Tanner Ngom. Never really had that breakout year that we were waiting on. Harrison Prieto and Justin Linder, all of whom now will have exhausted their eligibility.
I think Prieto gets it again, right? I don't know if Linder does, if he counts. I don't know that he had a senior day last year, but parents could be in the building again. That's kind of cool.
Redshirt seniors, Anthony Polite, Malik Osborne, Wyatt Wilkes, still have 1 year of eligibility remaining due to the COVID exemption. I would suggest that we've gotten all that we could have out of Wyatt Wilkes. he's probably free to move on.
Perhaps there could be an NIL incentive for one Anthony Polite. He could be useful.
Certainly want Malik Osborne to choose to come back. That'd be great. Saturday's other 6 ACC games are highlighted by Coach K saying goodbye, buddy. Calling it a day at Cameron Indoor against North Carolina. The Tar Heels obviously would love to spoil the going away party. You soon enough will not be able to reflect and utilize your impersonation of Coach K.
So long. Farewell. Alvita Zane. Goodbye. Gold medals. Final fours. That's it.
You know what's good about your impression of Coach K is that it begins so good and it ends poorly. The longer you do it, the more difficult it is for you to sustain the level of nasaliness necessary.
It actually kind of hurts.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. I've noticed that over, like, some guys you can stay in character for an hour. Other guys, it's like, oh, he's got about a 2-minute window here. He's going to lose it. His own voice is starting to creep in.
Oh, my name's Richard Smith. I've been doing the Tom Lang thing for years. It's unbelievable.
The current ACC standings are as follows: Duke, Carolina, Notre Dame, Miami, Wake, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Florida State. And of the group, who do we think is going to the tournament? Well, it's a good resume for Virginia Tech. They sit at 32 in the net, 27 KenPom. They're 11-8 in conference. They're 19-11 overall. I feel like they ought to get in. Wake Forest is top 40 in both as well. North Carolina is currently top 40 in both. Duke is obviously easily getting in as they sit 26-4. But it's interesting because that Notre Dame loss hurt them. They're 21-9. That loss,
if they lose to Pitt,
that was a kick in the boys. By the way, also,
does it matter to you how many teams get in from the ACC? Because I couldn't care less.
No,
like this year,
I couldn't care less.
I hope it gets worse for the ACC. I root against the ACC a little bit.
Well,
especially when they don't help us. Then there's no rising tide to help this boat. So screw them, all of them.
Yeah, I'd like the reputation of the league to remain in good standing for the overall health of the conference and its efforts to win people over to come here in baseball and football and other sports, and I think it all adds up. So, you're underestimating the importance of a national championship, say, in like lacrosse stuff, and how it affects all the other programs.
I assure you that the television channel is not, and that payoff from all of that coverage is going to come in the way of windfalls of money for that television network and the ACC in general.
You get an extra burger at lunch, everybody.
In 2072, when this contract is up.
The FSU women did pull off the 63-58 win over Boston College yesterday in that 8-9 game of the ACC tournament in Greensboro, advancing to play number 1 seed NC State. That's going on right now, I believe. Double check that score. I think it's happening right now. Coach Sue's squad is 17-12 overall. Their net ranking is 46. They moved into They went away from last four out to last four in with that victory, which indicates obviously that was a big ass win. Now, I don't know if that game is currently on, but I think
it is. Second quarter, Wolfpack at the end of one lead by 7.
Okay.
FSU shot 50% in the first quarter, and Wolfpack ended up shooting 56%.
So a critically important day for the women's team to go out and at least play well here. They may have played their way into the tournament with the win yesterday, but can't go out here and get blown out. So knock on wood, maybe they'll come back and win the game. Who knows? Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A brush fire broke out less than 300 feet from gas pumps at Flying J truck stop in Midway Thursday afternoon. Quincy and Midway firefighters worked to put out the flames. The sheriff's office said that the fire may have begun with people cooking in the woods. The fire department is still investigating the official cause. Brush fires can spread dangerously fast given the dry weather currently being seen in the area. Make sure you stay vigilant if you start a fire. In an announcement posted to social media Thursday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced that his wife Casey DeSantis is now cancer-free. After going through both treatment and surgery for breast cancer, she is now considered cancer-free. Governor DeSantis announced in October 2021 that his wife had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Florida's First Lady responded to the video Governor DeSantis posted with her gratitude for the positive news. Casey DeSantis wrote in a tweet, "To those who are in the fight, know there is hope, have faith, and stay strong." This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Lots of sunshine outside this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 84. Winds out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 53. Tonight, mainly cloudy. Sunny skies and calm. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 82. Temperatures a bit above average Sunday and Monday with highs in the low 80s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 85.
Are you looking for some extra cash, or maybe you're looking for some stable work, or perhaps you know a friend looking for some work? Well, consider joining the team at the Lawn Johns. Lawn care and landscaping is rewarding work. Just ask any man who admires perfect mow lines after a fresh cut. Get paid to be outdoors and work for a family-owned local company with health insurance and paid time off. Call the Lawn Johns today at 322-2567. That's 322-2567 and apply today.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness.
Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Of 97 patients, 33 are vaccinated, and 63% are considered incidental.
See, this is what I'm upset about. He's basically made up the percentages to look like it's at 100%, but the two are not related to each other.
What's 37% of 97?
It's 35.89.
So why in the hell can't he literally ask iPhone to include that in his articles?
Maybe he's got an Android.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. Great rates, cutting-edge technology, and transparent communication is the recipe for a 5-star mortgage experience at FSUHomeLoans.com.
Find out more about all of that easygoing experience and efficient and successful and cutting edge technology and transparent communication and 5-star mortgage process. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Go to FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com. I may be doing that soon enough. I'm ratcheting up the rhetoric around the Cameron household these days. Yeah.
That's an important thing.
Yeah.
If the rhetoric is changing, that is when you get a world news report.
I am starting to ratchet up the rhetoric around the house. I'm tired of kind of being passive aggressive. Now I'm just being aggressive.
It really doesn't get you anywhere. Passive aggressive gives you a measure of self-satisfaction in the beginning, but in the long run, it's worth nothing at all.
You start early with one passive aggressive comment in the hopes to gauge reaction and perhaps it's a message being sent, not a shot over the bow, Tom, but just sort of just so you know, I'm thinking about getting rid of this place.
I think the passive aggressive usage ratio in the workplace is higher when you hate your boss, right? Because you're like,
yeah. Well, there's different kinds of passive aggressive.
But in general, I found in my 35 years of living, it really doesn't get you anywhere. You're better to just be direct. You know, my Brooklyn upbringing is correct.
Nobody would ever accuse me of not being blunt.
Oh, that's correct.
Right.
Yeah, you got no time for passive aggressive.
No, I'm just aggressive. Boisterous, blunt, right to it. Now, I can be passive aggressive. I had to be the other day with somebody in the working world on the Sirius XM side of things.
Oh, that's a good story.
I don't want to tell that story.
Maybe one day I'm bellying up.
Mm-hmm. I'm still like, man, that's what we're doing up out here, huh? Okay. And you would have laughed because you know me, and you'd have been like, "Oh, it's happening." It's
No, I would
have
been uncomfortable because I would have seen the facial expression when the moment happened, and you have to wait 10 or 15 minutes to cash that in.
Yeah, and you're going, "Okay, countdown to this is going to get ugly in a minute when they get a commercial break."
Well, but the question would be at that point for you is, it has enough time passed for this hammer to be a little bit more blunt?
Not this one.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the answer is yes. Not that one.
This
Not
hammer
that
had
day.
like a little pickaxe on it.
I was pissed.
There's some sharpness
I
to it.
was pissed, and I don't normally get pissed. I have respect for everybody's job in the process. Everybody's got something they got to do, but man, you're out there on the front lines as a host. You can't have people messing you up looking like a fool.
It's a clown question, bro.
Yeah. What are we doing here? So I want to answer Carol's question on a Libations Friday. Carol says, so what about the quarterback room? Did Norvell or anybody else mention it today, perhaps with a competitive battle for either Tate or Duffy to prove themselves as the backup to Jordan Travis? I worry that if Jordan gets hurt, yeah, not directly like that. I think he was very excited about what A.J. Duffy brings to the table.
Yeah.
So
he talked about his speed. Did you note that?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I am not as excited about his speed per se. I do like that he's a put together kid and a lot bigger than people expressed it to me on the message boards anyhow. I mean, I was kind of like, they act like AJ Duffy is a midget. And I'm like, or a little person. Sorry. And I'm like, no. Wait, what?
Passive aggressive.
He's built. He's a solid kid.
That was during the workouts, tour of duty. I think everybody took a moment to do that when they were in the quarterbacks, the quartet of them, and Tokar's was giving them, it's like they do a drop back and then there's a communication. He's like, okay, so this is what happens. Where are you going? So they could do mental reps, I suppose. That's how they would put it. And I'm going down the line and I'm looking, I'm like, man,
he's not that small.
Comparing to these other guys, he looks sturdier than Jordan right now.
Yes, agreed. So, Carol, I'm going to answer your question here. This is Jordan Travis's team, and you notice that. You say it in your comments here. You realize that the people in that position room are battling to be a backup. That is true. I think there's what's not said tells me a lot, right? Tate really didn't get mentioned much today, and A.J. Duffy did. Even Geno English did. So that tells me enough.
Yeah, Duffy was mentioned again. So Mike said he's one of our fastest skill position players in terms of top end speed when you get to that number. But then he says that to go along with the strong arm to make the throws. And okay, so you're describing that you like every one of his tools.
Mm-hmm.
And to mention his ability to run is interesting to me because that tells me subtext wise they expect him to be the backup. Now, that might be overstepping, but that's how I read it because this offense is going to have elements in it, has to, with Jordan Travis, in which running the quarterback is a part of the offense. And so if you're going out of your way on a question that's not talking about A.J. Duffy's legs at all,
to
bring up his legs, that tells me that's maybe subconsciously you're looking at, all right, we can run the offense that we run with Jordan, with A.J., and he's got the cannon of the arm to make some throws. So they love his potential a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting to listen to him talk about the quarterback room, primarily because A, you're right, he's excited about A.J. Duffy's future here. B, it's clear it's Jordan Travis's team. He's excited about what Jordan Travis can do. He feels like he's brought in some guys. Plus, there's going to be better offensive line play that give him an opportunity to take the step forward that we all want him to take. He loves his leadership. He loves his work ethic. That's all well and good. Nothing we say here about Jordan Travis in the spring is going to matter at all because last year we watched Jordan Travis in the spring. We watched Jordan Travis in the fall. We saw signs, evidence that he was about to take a step forward, and the season started, and he hadn't. Not in terms of reading progressions and reading a defense and going through said progressions and throwing the ball accurately from the pocket in rhythm, hit your back foot, let it go. That hadn't happened. The Notre Dame game started, and we went, oh, man. And it really was frustrating. Now, by the end of the year, had he gotten better in those areas? Yes. Is he good at it? No. Okay. So let's see.
Here's a question for you then. As you watch Duffy this spring, and
I'll be watching closely, yes.
Right. Our eyes trained to different parts of the field and different days, what have you. How much of an eye towards being the backup are you thinking about Duffy and evaluating Duffy as you watch him? Like, are you thinking, okay, can he be the number 2 as you're watching it and evaluating what you're seeing? Or are you just saying, let's see what tools he's got in a year, we'll figure it out? How much are you thinking about the now?
I'm watching closely because Jordan Travis hasn't been able to get through a season. And listen, my biggest issue with this isn't so much that I think he's going to go out on a football field and get hurt, although it's entirely possible. It's that, last year, and it's enough times past, I can just say it, he missed a ton of practices leading up to the season. He wasn't available to practice. Well, damn it, man. You can't get better. You can't lead a team. You can't be dependable. It's not his fault. I'm not mad at him. But the bottom line is if you're missing a week's worth of practices with various melodies, that's no bueno, man. That's not going to work. So,
and there was a quote unquote battle at the time for the position too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I care deeply about who the backup's going to be because we're probably going to see his ass in a game. So yeah, I care about who it's going to be and I'll be watching very closely. I had somebody tell me this the other day. I'll share this and I can't tell you who said it, but he's a guy who knows football. He's coached in football. He's worked in football his whole life. He told me that he thinks Tate Rodemaker will help this football team, whether it's at quarterback or not, quote unquote.
What?
That he's that good an athlete that they'll find a place for him if he is not going to be the backup quarterback.
Who told you that? I'm sorry. Some unnamed person?
Yeah, I told you I can't tell you who
Oh,
it is.
okay.
It's a guy who's lived, coached, played football his whole life. He's in professional football.
Okay.
He thinks that highly of Tate Rodemaker. And I said, you're insane.
Yeah, like to do what?
Can
he punt? Well, no, Mastromono's good. Can he kick?
Now remember this. Remember the video where Tate what was he doing? I don't know. It was a video like he did something extremely athletic.
Like flip. Yeah.
We were all stunned. We were all stunned that he was that athletic.
He can move.
He can move and he's athletic and was a great high school athlete. And so this guy's contention was, look, man, I don't know. I mean, I do think someday he's going to help this football team in some capacity. And I said, whoa, I'm going to pin you down on this because you can't be all nebulous here. What do you mean? If he doesn't play quarterback, how is he going to help this team? Is he going to be a starting safety? He's like, no, but it wouldn't shock me if he helped him at a wide receiver somewhere on the depth chart at some point. I was like, really?
Over the guys we just brought in.
No, I don't think he believes he's a star. I think he would be in the rotation in his mind.
Scout team?
I'm not telling you that I think that. This person said that, and I found it fascinating because this person's not dumb.
Right, and he is athletic. I'm not, saying that he isn't. Of course he is. But, man, I mean, we just brought in basically a class worth of veterans, So if that would be the shift, you can't pump him with steroids and get him to 230 and make him the new Wyatt Rector or something like that.
No.
That was a question that we ran out of time during the press conference, but I wanted to ask.
About the tight end room?
Yeah, with, Jordan Wilson was good at the back end of the year. Who the hell is going to fill in for him? Because he was actually an asset at the end of the season last year. That's a very different position of tight end that he was playing, Jordan Wilson, versus what they're asking Cam McDonald. Is it Douglas? Like, who the hell is going to be that
Marcus
guy?
Douglas is a 395-pound tight end. Sure. I guess. I mean,
but can they be good at it?
Specifically to the role you're talking about as a blocker, it would have to be him.
Right.
Who the hell else could it be?
Well, but I wanted to hear how Mike talked about that player because that'll give you a clue as to how he feels about whoever it is.
I would tell you, I don't know. To me, the candidate for biggest step forward contributor in the offense that didn't make a single play on the field last year has to be Jackson West. He's got the requisite disposition. He's mean. He's physically imposing. A big, strong kid. Is not afraid to hit you, not afraid to block. Cares deeply, right? So, I don't know. He's got to step forward within this offense, doesn't he? Well, I still don't know what was it about his game a year ago that couldn't see him get on the field. Now, I'm not saying he should have been. I'm saying he must not have known the offense.
Yeah, it's possible.
It has to be that he didn't know the offense.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Well, and maybe at the time that they were throwing their hands to the sky about Jordan, things got better for Wilson, because at about the halfway point, things changed.
Yeah, but not a single freaking catch.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I mean, so that tells me, again, that has to be that he just didn't know what the hell he was doing. That the physical was there, the work ethic is there, the disposition is there, all of that. The tools are there, but I don't know what I'm doing. So, okay, maybe. And if he does, then let's see if he's a candidate to take a massive step forward. Like if I told you over under receptions for Jackson West, 10.5.
Oh, man. Well, we're playing Duquesne. I'll take the over.
Pretty good number, right?
It is a good number.
Yeah.
Duquesne is 3 or 4. There you go.
All right. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State Athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Full online applicant onboarding and integration into payroll. Save your company money and headaches today at the NorthFloridaPayroll.com. What you got, Tommy? What you got?
I'm ready today. I've got a futures market.
Me too.
You do?
Yeah.
What
go.
sport?
College basketball.
Okay. I've got one in hockey.
Let's go.
And you might say, well, Tom, because you're a Tampa Bay fan and the Pittsburgh Penguins have killed your team twice this year,
yeah, I know.
You're biased. And I'd say BS. Pittsburgh plays a pretty good brand of hockey that is fit for the playoffs. I know what it looks like. I've just watched 2 Stanley Cup champions in the Tampa Bay Lightning play exactly this way.
Back to back.
A heavy brand of hockey.
Yeah,
the Pittsburgh Penguins
which bothers me that we take ass kickings then. What are we doing?
We need to wake our asses up.
Let's go.
Yeah, as Pat Maroon said last night, they handed it to us pretty good, and they did. That's twice this year. But the way they play and the depth they have, they're healthy as can be right now, and that never happens in Pittsburgh, has in the last 15 years. They are a 16-1 proposition right now, plus 1,600 to win the Cup. They're at least, to me, a top 4 team in hockey when it comes to Cup favorites.
Oh, buddy, look at you.
And those odds would be at 10-1. So you're getting great value at 16-1 to take a chance on it with some pizza money. The East is very tough. They might not come out of it. They might get upset early, but they play the right brand of hockey. The only problem Pittsburgh has is their goaltending. So we'll see.
Before I get into wagering, I would like to relay some news. A new species of prehistoric crocodile has been discovered with a dinosaur in its stomach. The prehistoric crocodile likely consumed the ornithopod shortly before its own death at the hands of an even larger creature 95 million years ago, Tom.
Oh, yeah, 95 million years ago.
That is correct.
Show me the bones.
I will. Paleontologists came across a 95 million-year-old crocodile skeleton in Queensland, Australia, because of course they did.
That's right. Not here. Not in our backyard.
They got more than they bargained for.
Dinosaurs keeping you distracted from what's really happening.
Not only was the crocodile a previously unknown species of crocodile, but it also had the remains of a dinosaur in its stomach. Extraordinary, raved Matt White, an association at the Australian Age of Dinosaur Museum, who led the research into the discovery. This is the first time that a crocodile has been discovered with a dinosaur in its stomach. White and a team of paleontologists and volunteers came across the croc back in 2010. It's huge, Tom. Took all that time to just slowly sweep away the sand. That's where I'd get frustrated. I don't think I have the patience to do that. They didn't expect to make this stunning find. They were actually looking for a sauropod.
So it took them 12 years. In 12 minutes, you'd be like, this is stupid.
Well, I'd be like,
there's got to be a better way.
There has to be. There has to be a better way. As researchers examined the fossil, they made two exciting finds. One, the 8-foot crocodile appeared to be a previously undiscovered species. Two, it had the remains of that dinosaur in its stomach. They had never found that before. And so they named it Confractosaurocacathonos, meaning broken dinosaur killer.
Which comes from the Latin for,
yes,
if you're going to have a guy for another year, make it Anthony Polite or Malik Osborne.
Because the bones were tightly intertwined, researchers then used X-rays, CT scans, and 3D computer modeling to examine them more closely. That's what we should be doing. We should start with that.
Did you read the article? Yeah, that should be the baseline from here on out. We could advance this and make this much better.
Yeah.
That there were 3 types of T-Rexes.
Yes, I did
not
read.
one.
Of course, I read that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I figured you did.
Yes. By the way,
so what I saw in the New York Museum is a lie. That's a combination of 3 T-Rexes. What a lie!
Maybe.
That thing never existed.
Hold on, dude. Don't do that. You know what station we're on? He and his team determined that the dinosaur was eaten by the crocodile, and then not long after, the crocodile was killed. Probably by an even bigger. Boy, tough times being a dinosaur, boy. I'll tell you what. Tough times. Nature's tough. Give me.
You think you had it tough? How about the dinosaurs?
Yeah. That's it.
Now get up and go to work.
Now imagine though, you're just constantly looking over your shoulder. Good God. Here I am as a dinosaur floating about. Wagaya! Crocodile grabs me. I'm done dealing. Crocodile's like, yeah, got me some dinosaur. And then wagaya! Now I'm dead.
What kind of dinosaur would you be if you could be a dinosaur?
I would have been one of those giant amphibious something. I would have been in the water.
Really?
Well,
in the water.
The monsters, like the giant ones, like the 10 times the size of the great white shark or whatever. I'd be like that guy.
I think pterodactyl is fairly safe. There's a whole lot of chaos going down on the ground there.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just going to stay up here.
Hey, guys, I told you about it last week. I told you about it yesterday. I'm going to tell you about it again here. Go to Prize Picks, sign up, use the promo code WARCHANT because I won again, guys. Yesterday, I had Sergio Garcia under 5 for shots on number 16. He carded a 4, and I married that with Ja Morant over 29.5 points last night for Memphis against Boston. He had 38. And I won money. I also had Sung J M and Hideki Matsuyama under 5 shots on hole 16. Both came in with birdies. Married those two together as a tag team. Won money. I also had Keegan Bradley under 9.5 fairways hit. He had 7. I had Tommy Fleetwood under 9 fairways hit. He had 8. That's a winner. There we go. Another one with Prize Picks. And I won with Kevin Kisner and Billy Horschel. I am killing Prize Picks. They want no part of this.
What's the over-under on Keegan Bradley's coolness factor? How about him and Billy? Do they equal one cool person?
No.
The two of them?
God,
over-under
no.
one cool person.
Not even a quarter of a cool person, those two guys. Just think how tight Billy Horschel's pants are,
No.
and you run for the hills.
No,
it's
thank
so
you.
unsettling.
I'll pass.
I can't watch golf. Every time they're like, "Oh, let's go to Billy Horschel on number 7." I'm like, let's not click. Let's not do that.
It's kind of like some of our head coach's choices on a game day. You're like, my man, the schmedium today. I see you.
Well, he's at least wearing that in his top.
Right.
He's not doing that with his pants.
Well, I don't study that. No,
Pants
thank
are.
you.
Can't do that. I mean, it's unavoidable with Billy. And the problem with Billy Ho, not only is he a Gator, but he wears those pants and they're white. Like, so we're going to wear pants that are too tight and white on a hot afternoon.
There's a saying in my house that goes back and forth between the wife and I. She says, God bless baseball pants to that end.
Yes.
And I say, God bless softball pants
to that
she's
end.
like, and it's Kermit and it's Christian Bale.
Yeah.
It's like,
God bless softball pants is right.
yeah.
Tom.
Oh, yeah.
This team's loaded. Very talented team. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have an outstanding weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday. Take care. Be good.